So we have a list of resources. We wanted list of resources types based on region. Based on region. So based on list of number of resource types based on region. So if lets me go and right now show you Azure subscription. So these are the following resources I have, and I wanted to know in central India how many machines are there, in East US how many are there. I just wanted that entire stuff. Okay, so accordingly I can go and create an I wanted that list of these are like two disks are there in East Asia. There is one private net IP address in East Asia. Was one virtual machine in East Asia. I just wanted that kind of data. So through PowerShell I wanted to do this. So how will I get that kind of data? For that, first we have to ensure that we are logged in Azure using login AZ account command. And once I logged in into my account, then I'm gonna try get -AZ account. Sorry, get -AZ subscription. Now, if you have multiple subscriptions in your with your user, then you have to select this subscription specifically. Which subscription are you going to work on? So here you have to provide the subscription ID, and then it means that from the list of subscriptions you are currently working on this subscription. So what is meant by currently working on that subscription? You are going to make if you are going to create any resources or you wanted to get the resources list and everything you wanted from this subscription. And then once this is done, the next one is we need to get the list of resources. So the command is for that is get-az resource. So you get the list of resources here and in which regions are there and everything. The more effective way is sometimes get-az resource won't work properly to get the entire list and everything. So the smarter ways is uh, get-az resource group will get the list of all the resource groups in this in a region, and once that is there, you select specifically uh, so we have East Asia, we have East US, and in that I'm going to get AZ. I'm going to pass that entire values into resource, and I'm going to provide resource group name as so for each you know to get that one. Mm, mm, mm. Okay. What I'll do is I'll use for each only for each hyphen object. So for each resource group, each value, I got the list of values. In each of these values, I wanted to pass the resource group name. So I'll get all the list of resources. This is the most appropriate way, and I'll keep that as FT. So I will get it in the table format. You can use get-AzResource, but sometimes when you're using this command in Cloud Shell, it doesn't show properly. And for those people who are trying not in PowerShell, but actually they are trying it out in Cloud Shell, in Azure Portal Cloud Shell, uh, I am trying to give this command which actually works. And so agent resource group is a command to get the list of all the resource groups in a subscription. And once I got all the list, I'm using the for each object. So for each element in that resource, for each element in the list, each element I'm passing it as a value here. And this command is actually get the list of all the resources in a subscription. But when I mentioned that hyphen resource group, this command will get all the list of resources in a resource group. So I gave the resource group value from this list and everything. So once I get all that, I'm getting all that values. So I'll pass it as resources list in this, and I can get the entire location. So I'll keep location list as resources. So let me try this out. To keep an FT here just for a visualization, right? And now I can actually say this resource list is this entire resources. In that one, I wanted select hyphen object will give me the and I'm going to say property and location hyphen unique will give me all the unique locations. List, when I go for FT, these are all the resources which are there in the resource group, and these are the things which are repeated in the location. Now, when I say select hyphen object property, it is going to only give me location properties. In that, this entire list of values will be given. In that, what are the unique values? Will give me the entire number of what all regions are the resources are there. I'm just getting that one. How am I able to say that what all regions in which the resources are there? Because I'm getting nothing from but from a variable called resource list, the entire values of what all resources are there in Azure. And so this command is I'm storing that entire values in location list. And what is FT? FT is format table. So when I wanted the representation, so when I'm getting this one in a list format, this is a list format, and when I wanted to visualize it in a tabular format, I can use for FT, and FT is format table. So tabular format, you wanted to show the representation in a tabular format. And now once I got the location list, now I wanted based on region, the resource types, number of resource types. So my logic first should be based on uh, the each location. So I'll start filtering from each location. So for each location in location list, I wanted the resources list. So resource list. Uh, this is not resources, this is resources, and I'm actually just taking resource list. Okay, so this one, or I can actually keep it as list to make it simpler. List equals uh, resources list where I'm using where hyphen object this time. I'm going to say that so whichever in the resources list, whichever location So resources list has this entire thing. Na? In that, each location wise I'm going to take. So equals location. And when I'm storing, so when you are actually trying to take this one and print it, right? So if you see, it is a location as an object here. So when I wanted to pass specifically, I just wanted the values. Then this is what it is. So similarly, I have to just pass the values, na? Array of values. So I'm going to say location and I'll get that. And now I can say dollar location because now an array is each element in an array is one is Central India, one is East US, one is East Asia. So the value will be sufficient. Otherwise, I have to mention specifically dot location. In previous way, if I didn't use this dot location, then I should have mentioned here specifically like that. So this is good. So let us try. But I'm actually using in for loop, right? So when I'm trying to loop so if I instead of giving it loop, I'll say Central India. So it will give me all the resources in the Central India. Now I wanted it in the tabular format to easily check. It's an easier way. So I see in all the list of resources, East US, East Asia, I just got Central India. From this, I can actually find out how many are there in each of it. I just created, what do you say, services, each different services in different regions, but I didn't tried having multiple storage accounts or multiple services. So that is in a one region. So let me do that. In which region there is the storage account? It's in East US. So let me create one more storage account in East US. I'll create in East US. So uh, uh, str East Asia 1 3 East US. So this is good. Data production. I'll just delete all this, enable, and I'll click on review. Okay. So let it get created. I just wanted to have at least I wanted to see when I say number of storage accounts in East US, then at least two should be showing, na? And all that. For that, I was actually checking. So I'm able to per region. I'm able to right now get the services, each resources. Now from that, I have to location. So yesterday we have tried group command, na? So we can try the group command. So when before we try the group command here, I can actually say group hyphen object, and I'll say group object based on resource type. So in Central India, how many resources are there? Based on that, I can actually get it. So these are the ones. So this entire list, I would like to pass it to. I don't want this entire stuff. If we are actually the rest of the things we don't wanted, we wanted number of resource types and how much is that count based on regions. So here I will remove. So let me store this here. So which location they are? In the location wherever this which was mentioned. So I can mention here dollar location, and I can only select name and count. Name comma count. Select is select hyphen object. So let's go and test it and see whether it is working or not. And say location, I'll just keep it as Central India at this point of time. So I'm getting in central India. These are the ones which are there. Now I'll say dollar list. I'll take dollar list which having this entire values, and I'll try to append. So here when I'm trying to group, last time also I'm not able to group based on the this based on I wanted another column called what do you say, the location also, but I was not able to retrieve that. So how do we retrieve that one? We have to just use the command called add member, and we have to specifically say the what type of object we are trying to add. So there we are trying to add location, and the value of this location is uh, it's dollar location. So in central India I'm looking for it, so I'm adding that one here. If you wanted, we can actually just but here I have to mention for each element, for each object. So in the list for each object, I just wanted to add the another uh, uh, location, and that's it. So this should work. So if you let's try it out. So here I'll pass this entire value in dollar list equals to, and once we passed it, now I'll say central India. So previously, what when I passed this value, what did we get? Only these things, right? We didn't have any specific column saying location is Central India and all that. Now, because of this, now what is happening? This in this each element, it is adding one more member called location, and the location is value is Central India. Now, when I do this, okay, the member type is no property. Okay, so each one it is asking. Okay. So now we dollar list is equal to, now if you see central India is there. Now to ensure that it is not repeating like that, I can mention here type as member type as node property, and this is it. So if I runs again this one, and now if you see list, it's just having this one. Now if I run this, we're adding each member of the location as central India. Now if I say list is, now I'm able to see that. So similarly for each location, that respective, it is grouping that, and it is giving the values and everything. So this is good. And I also wanted in each location for each list. Mm, Here itself, I will say in each list equals uh, for each, and I would say mm, uh, dot name, no need, equals. mm, I wanted to split that one, that's why. So dot name equals split, and if you see, we are seeing this values, and I wanted to split this, and I would say one. Let me see if it is working or not. So dollar list is having this one. Now if I say dollar list is, Disks is one, virtual machines is one, and all this. So this is going good. And now each time that has to be appended into the final list. So final list, I wanted it to be appended into, because what is happening every time after this is running, this list will be again refreshed with the different location. So first it will get Central India, and that will be the list will have a Central India, and it is adding this location member. So previously when we have tried, we have got errors because I was always appending here, and this add member is appending there. So that is where the issue has occurred. Now this time I'm appending this into an empty one. So here I'll create final list as an empty array so that I can append. Otherwise, I'll get a runtime exception. Now, if I look for final list, I will be getting uh, list is equal to. So I'll now get the entire list of resource types based on regions. Now let's go and do this. So one mistake which I have done is I didn't forgot to remember type equal to note property. Now this is for each object. Now when you are trying to run the script, you usually try to run the script not with your credentials, but you will try to pass the credentials with the service principal. Then you have to use the uh, what do you say, uh, service principal login and all that, and you have to provide your credentials and everything. So if you are trying to run with your user credentials, that is fine, you can just log in. But if you don't need to have a login hyphen az account command when you're trying to run that command in cloud shell and all that, because by default when you're trying to open a cloud shell from cloud service, you're already logged in with your credentials and everything. In now if we see, we are getting the result, but we are not trying to get the result based on the count and everything. We can sort. If we wanted, we can go and use the sort option here. Final list is can sort. So final list sort object based on count comma location. So descending order it came. If you say ascending order it came, if you wanted in descending order, you can go for descending order. So here storage accounts, let's validate number of storage accounts in EastUS. So I'll go here, refresh this. I'll go for storage accounts. There are in East US, we have two storage accounts. It is satisfying. Now let's go to disks. Uh, so we have two disks in East Asia. East Asia, we have two disks, and East US, we have one disk, and Central India, we have one disk. East Asia, Central India, we have one disk, and East US, we have one disk. Yeah, it's matching. The next one is public IP address. So if we search for public IP address, we have one in East US, we have one in East Asia. So public IP address, one in East US, one in East Asia. So we look at East Asia public IP address. There it is. In Central India, there is no public IP address. Yeah, there is no public IP address. And similarly, if you see security groups, so there should be security groups, only one security group. network security group, and that is in East Asia, and security groups is in East Asia. The rest of the things, they don't have any security groups. So it's working accordingly. And now if I wanted to re-explain the entire script, what did we do? First, we ensured that if you're trying to log in with PowerShell from your local machine, then first you have to log in with your AZ, use login-AZ account. And if you're having a service principal, then using service principal, then try hyphen service principal and provide the credentials. And then you have multiple subscriptions in your user account, then you have to specifically select which subscription you are going to uh, try to log in. So for that, you have to use select hyphen AZ subscription, but this command will help in terms of getting the list of AZ subscriptions. And then I can use get hyphen AZ resource and it works properly here. But in terms, sometimes in Cloud Shell it doesn't really work very well. That is why I tried first getting each resource groups, and for each resource group I wanted to get the list of resources. This is actually effective command when you try to run it in Cloud Shell. And then you pass this entire list of resources into this variable called resources list. And here I only wanted at this point of time here, I wanted to know which all locations are there, which are in which all locations the resources are there. So what did I do? I got the list of all the resources. In that, I only selected the property called location. Now, when I tried, these are all the resources list. In that, I only wanted the location. So when I try location, select location, what will happen? These are the repeated values which will come. But I wanted just Central India, East US, and East Asia. So what did I do? I just used unique and I got it. But so I pass this value inside anything and I say L of 0, uh, you see there's a location. So I can't pass it as a value. So unless I specifically mention dot location. So instead of doing that, when I passing this entire thing, it's counting that list Central India, East US, and East Asia. I mentioned here dot location. I passed, so it has an array of in what all locations the resources are there without being the locations being repeated, the values being repeated. So that's why using the unique and everything, I may ensured it. Now, how could I come with this logic? I wanted to check in which region, in each region, what all resources types are there and how many are there. So first, the filtration here is based on location. So that's why I just got the location list and everything. Now for each location in this list of array of locations, that many number of times it will run this for loop. And here I mentioned that this is entire list of resources. In that, only particular location, whatever location, Central India, East US, and everything. So it will get only that resources list. And I did a group here. Group will just group based on what you mentioned here. I mentioned that group based on resource type. And once I grouped it, so once I grouped based on location, East US. Now I'll get count and name. I don't want this group, so I removed it by using select. I only selected name and count columns, and that values are being passed out here. And as I wanted to have one more column, when I selected count and name, but I wanted one more column called location. For that, I used this add member. How did I do it? First, I took that value. In each value, this is a list of values, right? In each of this row, okay, for each object, I just took that entire row. In that one, I added a member called location, and the value of the location is nothing but the location where we are trying to run this loop and everything. So automatically that will be added. And when I try to add and run this, so I pass this entire value in L equal to, and here now when I try L this one, so this is what is there in L. I can use select object Uh, so I didn't use select object there, so I should have used there itself. Select name, comma, count. So L is having only name, comma, count, not this one. But I also wanted location. So for that, I tried for each, and this one. For each object, I added a, and I mentioned east to west. Where did it was being missed because the group is only group based on what you wanted. So when I do right now L, it has this based on location. So this is satisfying my logic, but I have to add this entire values back into one final list, because if I try to add here itself, then again yesterday when I tried adding it same into that, what happened? It started throwing an error saying that already you have a member called location, you can't add once more and all that. That's why I tried creating a new final list. And before you wanted to add this one, you should have make it empty array. Otherwise, it will show a runtime exception because you can't add to a null value. Only you can add it to an empty array. And now that all this list per location is there in this final list, and I wanted it to be instead of this compute Microsoft.compute or Microsoft.network, I wanted just the resource name, service name. So for that I did a split. How did I do a split here? Now if you see, so in each of the values, okay, there's a, in each of the row I am asking specifically take name, in name you store uh, again you say you take that value, in that value you split it. Once you split it, this will become in two elements. This will be the first element and this will be the second element. So I asked for second element, and I stored that disks word. Suppose here it is disk, I stored that disks back into this element value, and that's how the list will become. So if you try this one here, so $L is actually having this. Now when I try to show this one, so it will remove all these things and it will only store after that disks, virtual machines and everything. And now if I say Dell, so this is what I wanted to get it. It's more appropriate, user friendly in terms of reading and everything. That's how we have the final list. Uh, so try it out. I'm going to share the script with you guys. You can try it out.